So for the last few weeks, we've not been doing any news, but we're going to start, as is probably customary for pretty much every week this so far, this year. We're going to talk about unfortunate closures. We're going to talk about
Oh,
job losses. Um, yeah, we're going to. In fact, I'm moving a couple of stories around, which is what I was doing because I did pair two of them together. But
hmm
I'm going to start with one and then I'll compare those other two afterwards because it sort of makes a bit more sense. So, I alluded it to the top of the show, talking about how I didn't really want to play Fortnite because Epic Games, and then ended up
yeah.
playing Fall Guys because Epic Games. Um,
The duality of Pete.
it unfortunately is, but Mediatonic were. I've been playing Fall Guys long before Epic took them over, so.
That's why
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
Um, so Epic Games have been in the news this week because they've announced that they're laying off over 1,000 employees, which could represent as much as 23% of its workforce. Uh,
Whoa.
Honestly, it only gets worse from here. So strap in and listen to what Tim Sweeney's got to say about this because wow. So in a note said staff on Tuesday, CEO Tim Sweeney partially blamed a quote turn down in Fortnite engagement on the decision. It gets worse. The game's rocket racing, ballistics, and festival battle stage modes will soon be shut down. They announced at the same time. So this was all the stuff that they added in. So it was like the adding in like the Rocket League stuff to it and all other stuff that they did to it, and I don't know
Yeah.
what. So despite remaining one, I think this is also a quote from Sweeney. Just so you know, it says one of the most successful games of the world. Fortnite has seen inconsistent engagement between seasons, and is at its early stages of returning to mobile following years of legal battles. Well, sorry, the first part was a quote. So this is a quote from him in his note. Today we're laying off over 1,000 employees. I'm sorry we're here again. The downturn in Fortnite engagement that started in 2025 means we're spending significantly more than we're making, and we have to make major cuts to keep the company funded. This layoff, together with over $500 million of identified cost saving in contracting, marketing, and closing some open roles, puts us in a more stable place. Staff impacted by layoffs will get a severance package that, quote, includes at least 4 months of base pay with more based on tenure. Great. So he claims that while the current state of the games industry as a whole was partly responsible for the decision, he said the company's role as the industry's vanguard, and that is a quote, likely a reference to its long-running battle against Apple and Google store fees, meant that Epic had been taking a lot of bullets. So, quote, some of the challenges we're facing are industry-wide challenges, slower growth, weaker spending, and tougher cost economics, current consoles selling less than last generations, and games competing for time against other increasingly engaging forms of entertainment. And some of our challenges are unique to Epic. Despite Fortnite remaining one of the most successful games of the world, we've had challenges delivering consistent Fortnite magic with every season. We're only in the early stages of returning to mobile and optimizing Fortnite for the world's billions of smartphones. And being the industry's vanguard, we've taken a lot of bullets in the battle, which is only in the early days of paying off for ourselves and all developers. But obviously, this isn't the first time this has happened because in the cuts following a previous wave of layoffs in 2023, Epic said they had to cut 830 employees for similar reasons, and that was 16% of its workforce at that time. Oof.
That
Also,
is no good.
yeah, and this also comes off the news a couple of weeks ago that they were increasing the price of V Bucks and battle passes as well. So yeah, it's
Now,
been a bit
I
of a
mean,
slap in the
look,
face for Fortnite people or Fortnite fans, but who cares about them? I care solely about these poor employees that have lost their jobs.
yeah. I mean, you see, this is a problem with live service games. Is obviously they do need to keep the money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
With obviously they use the skins of obviously purchasable skins for certain characters, and collaborations that they have, and the battle passes and everything. But the thing is you got to think of what their core demographic is. It's young people, young teenagers, or even children, which rely on mummy and daddy to give them pocket money in order to spend on these games.
Mm-hmm.
So if they raise the prices, there's going to be a lot less people, buying these battle passes at higher rates because parents can't afford it. The cost of living these days has gone up in excessively. It is excessive right now.
Yep.
I'm losing words because, like Kylie, I've jumped into drink and I'm starting to slur a little bit.
Well, someone had to pick up the mantle, of course.
Bloody hell, I've not had rum in months, and wow, that's hit me. But so we all know that the cost of living has gone up extortionately. It is incredible right now. Whereas, like 10 years ago, my family, now we were not the most, well off kind of family. My father was a very, very hard working, working man, providing for his family. But it would be like one salary coming in, and we could spend like £100 on shopping for a week. Now £100 in shopping gets you a few bits from the supermarket, and we're not even talking meat or fish or whatnot. We're talking your basics, your egg, your milk, maybe some vegetables in there somewhere, and somehow it goes over bloody like 70, 80, £100
Mm-hmm.
shopping. The price of electric has gone up. Gas has gone up. Renting, if you're renting, it's gone up. Everything has gone up, and I understand that like the battle passes, obviously, that's going to have to go up as well. But it's like people, like with streaming services, before people probably had 3 or 4 different streaming services at the same time. I got Netflix, I got Prime Video, I've got Disney Plus, I've got Hulu, I've got blah blah blah. Now it's one or the other,
Pretty
because
much, yeah.
you just can't, stretch as much as you could before. And now, back in the day when it'd be your dad that'll work and maybe your mum's got a part-time job. No. Both parents have now got full-time jobs, and even the kids have got to have a paper out, because if they don't, it's just yeah, it is really, really tough right now.
Yeah, that's always how it worked when I was a kid, come
Well,
12, 11, 12, 13, get the old evening or morning paper around to make sure I earn a little bit of extra money. Could go and
yeah.
spend it on games. My mum started out doing part-time work, and then that moved to full-time work. My dad was self-employed, and it was just
Hmm.
made things very, very difficult, obviously, because there wasn't a lot of money coming in, but they at least knew that they had a little bit of leeway in terms of, the cost of living not being as much back then. But, whilst things are different now in terms of financial position with them, like the cost of living has stupidly gone up, and it's still tight for everyone. Like
Yeah.
when I moved, like I did all of my finances, and I went, oh, I'm pretty comfortable like how I'm living at the moment. I could still get away with
Hmm.
like having a couple of streaming services. Now, like I've been revising all of that and going, right, I'm gonna have to now put into the bills. I've had to revise all of that. I've had to cut back on streaming services. I haven't played as many new games, and when I have been doing them, I've been trying to find them on discount, because
Yeah.
I can't afford to spend 70, 80 quid on a game nowadays. It's, I can't, whilst I did buy the Switch 2 like last year, it was out of money that was owed to me through,
Yeah.
a year's worth of work through a bonus. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been able to afford that otherwise. It was ridiculous. Same with the graphics card this year. It was like, well, that was a bonus that I had earned for a year of good performance, so I treated myself. I would never have done it
Mm.
otherwise. And
No.
it's
Well,
crazy. So you have to look at this as well, is that if you've got a family who are Fortnite people, and there are several
yeah.
podcasts that I listen to that are that, you're not buying one battle pass, you're buying 2, 3, 4, and skins and all
Yeah.
of that. And if they're increasing the price on that, how many of them are going to want to go, well, I only buy one and then buy that for the kid? because they want it more than I do, or they're going to be
Yeah.
very selective about what seasons they decide to jump into and support on terms of the battle pass, or what skins they do. There might be one skin where they go, oh well, kid can have that one, and I'll have this one, and then my partner will have that one, and it's like, it used to be the case
Yeah.
that everyone would just buy all the skins, but it's diminishing returns on
Yeah,
that
you have to
respect
pick
for
and
them.
choose. And also, it does depend very, very much so on the kind of collaborations that Epic have. So it's like, okay, they had the M&M, wasn't it, for one season. And it's like, okay, so maybe dad and mum are going to get that skin because they grew up with M&M, but then their kid, who's probably only like 8 years old or something, you think, well, who's this guy?
Who's that? Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to skip this pass because I've got no interest in it and I don't understand the lyrics. Not that you should be understanding the lyrics anyway, because
Not
it's
really, no.
hello Eminem.
Yeah,
And
it's
then you'll get something else like K-pop Demon Hunters,
yeah, and you
and
got
it's
all the
like,
kids
okay, well the
interested.
kids are going to love that, and then you got the grown-ups going, who the bloody hell's this?
Yeah, and like the other side of the coin as well is that you've got all these licensing deals that they're having to do with various different
Mhm.
third party companies. I would imagine the deal with Fox and Disney for like Family Guy and The Simpsons and all that stuff would have cost them a good
Marvel.
chunk of money. The Marvel stuff would have cost them a
Yeah.
good chunk of money as well. So they're spending the money on all these licensing deals, and if they're not getting their money back, then yeah, they have to
Back in.
make cost cutting somewhere. But
Yeah.
it still seems a bit ridiculous that actually they're laying off 1,000 people rather than cutting the salary of a good couple of executives who are the ones making the really poor decisions at the
Oh,
top,
no.
including Tim Sweeney, whose absolutely ridiculous comments over the last few months in terms of AI and like disclosure of AI on Epic Game Store has been so stupid, and people, and also the Epic Game Store itself, like how they're spending all this money on giving away all these free games, and it's half the reason why people only have it on there. They go on, they get their
Yeah.
free games, and they don't even touch the service otherwise. I don't know many
No.
people who've actually bought a freaking game on there. I have, when it's been heavily, heavily, heavily discounted. Like, but that's it.
I
I'd
mean,
rather pick, like, most PC players are all playing on Steam. Like, if there's a discount on Epic, there's a discount on Steam. And
same. Yeah.
Epic have also thought that the best thing they can do is throw money to make things exclusive for a year or for however long it is. And yet all PC players are going, well, it's timed exclusive for a year. I can wait a year. I don't care. I'm not giving you my money. And
It's
they,
almost like live service games are not sustainable for the long term.
they're not. I think a lot of companies are now finding this out, and a lot of them are finding out the hard way.
Yeah, because it's like you've said, back in, was it 2022 or 2023, when they had like 800 employees, they've
Yeah,
let go, and now they've let off another 1,000, and you think it's a lot of employees to work on. I mean, obviously, they've got a number of games on the Epic Store, but it's like, what about new games? Who is developing new games? Because a lot of them are like keeping the current games going with updates and stuff like that. But you don't need to have a huge team to keep that momentum going, to maintain that game. It's like with Nintendo. I use Nintendo as an example because obviously I follow Nintendo. I've been playing Nintendo games all my
yep,
life. But like Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, they have a development team working on a game, or a number of development teams. They get that game done. That gets published, and
they
then there'll
move
be a
on.
development team in there somewhere that will just keep it going a little bit longer after the game is done, while the rest of the team move on and create a new game.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, with live service games, it is like all our eggs are in this one basket. And if that starts sinking, if you don't have a full safe or the next big thing to come along, I'm not saying Fortnite 2, but they do need to have something on the horizon that can coexist with Fortnite, so they can still get new players in. Because I mean, obviously, a lot of players now my brother-in-law and my sister included jump onto Fortnite, they do their dailies, their daily challenges, their daily missions or whatever, and then they're probably, well, done for today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like a couple of years ago when I was doing it with Fall Guys. I'd just jump on, do my dailies, and off I go. If I was playing on my own, like if I was playing with
Yeah.
friends, I didn't really care about my dailies. If I got them through playing, then great. But I would
Yeah.
just log on, do my thing, and that's it. It's sort of similar with trading card game Pocket, like where I'll just,
Yeah.
because they've got the 30 days of like rewards for the anniversary. That's what I've
Yeah.
been doing. But after that 30 days, I don't know if I'll just jump in and just do a little bit here and there. But that's it. I just want to go and get all that 240 hourglasses. That's it. I'm so close. I'm nearly there. But yeah, so
You got a few days left yet.
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? But it's, you know, and the thing with Epic as well is that they bought Mediatonic, they bought Psyonix as well. So they've got
Yes.
free live
Rocket
service
League.
games like on the go at the same time. There's a lot of like development costs and a lot of development teams there having to deal with constant updates for all three of those games. Right, so they put all their eggs in the one live service basket, and they actually haven't done the thing that every other company used to do, now seems to not do, apart from maybe Nintendo or Capcom or someone like that. They're not putting out AA games. They're not putting out smaller title games with smaller teams.
Mm.
They're just, let's just have these free live service games going on. Oh yeah, because Epic Game Store might come in trumps at some point soon. Oh yeah, we're getting all this money back probably at some point for Unreal Engine. But
Yeah.
but they need to have more facets of the business that actually work in conjunction with that, because at the moment they're sinking money into this pit that's just not giving them a return at all.
Well, this is it because they did the Lego Fortnite as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
But that launched inside Fortnite. Fortnite. But if they'd have launched that alongside the game,
Yep.
which obviously people may have had to have paid to get the game, well, then that's another revenue stream.
It would have been,
But
yeah.
because you've included it into the Fortnite, because you think, oh, if we don't include it, well, then people won't jump into it or whatnot. But, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
You have to continue. You have to grow. I'm not saying you have to, completely expand and whatnot. Because obviously, the more you expand, the more risk you are of imploding on yourself, which is what is happening right now. But they've increased their teams. They've increased their teams. They've increased their teams. And now it's come to the point where, basically, they've got more people working on the games than they have people that are, well, not technically, obviously, it doesn't quite work out that way. More people working on the games than they are playing them. But I mean, on a money aspect, if you say like a ratio that for one employee, they have to have 1,000 players
Yep.
to earn their salary. Well, if you've lost 10,000 players, well, that's at least 10 people that you're going to have to let
Well,
go
yeah,
because the money's not there anymore.
and of course, if that game is free to play and those players are not putting any money into the game at all, then that's also another cost like aspect that they have to look into as well. So, but you did touch upon something there as well, to some degree, and I think this will fill in a little bit of what the games industry is like at the moment. I know me and Kylie have obviously spoken about it over the last good couple of years when it comes to news stories. But this is the next two news stories are going to sort of fall into it a little bit as well. In fact, there'll be three news stories that I can shift one around as well that will probably fall into the same sort of line as well.
Yeah.